Yeah, it was quite crucial to actually overtake someone because, as we know, the track is quite narrow, so it is difficult to overtake. But yeah, I'm happy that in the end it worked out in this heat. But yeah, the main complication was in the qualifying because I totally screwed it up. So it should have been a pole, so it could make like life easier.
It's the format with qualifying, isn't it? You only get 2 laps. So you said you made a mistake on 1 lap and then didn't nail the second one. How did it work?
Well, basically, if you didn't nail the first lap, then you are pretty much done because the tire physics is quite strange. So yeah, when I entered the first corner of the first lap, I had a massive oversteer, so I tried to cool down the tires. But yeah, in the second lap, it was just about compromise and at least getting into the top five.
You've got one of your regular competitors in esports and sim racing, Pablo Lopez, joining the grid for this one. But of course, he's representing Circuit Ricardo Tormo. You're representing Most.
Yeah, it is. It is. I was quite surprised that he entered this race, but yeah, looking forward for some battles.
Well, we'll let you get ready for the main race. The cars are not that far off starting this one. So congratulations, Michael, on the win. We'll see what you can do in the main race. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
There we go. So there's our heat winner from heat number 2. And for this one, it is Pablo Lopez, who sits on pole position, another one of our pro sim racers. He was in the 2012 Nissan Gran Turismo Academy and was one of the finalists in that. Alan Day is lining up alongside him at the wheel of the Monster Energy PK Car Sport Chevy on the outside of the front row of the grid. Vladimiros Tjoitsis is on row number 2 with Andreas Jochumsen, and Giorgio Maggi and Maren Kramers sit there on row number 3. Now remember, again, same format, 10-minute race, only the top 10 go through automatically into the main race. Everybody else thereafter heads into the last chance qualification race, which is the next race that will be coming up after this one that we're about to start. So red lights on the gantry, the lights go out, and Pablo Lopez gets a good run heading up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Alan Day's on the outside line as they head up towards turn number 1. And as they turn through the corner, a little bit wide there for Maren Kramers, goes all through the gravel trap. It looks as though Max Palumbo has gone through the gravel trap for Solaris Motorsport as well, but I think that was largely a few cars through the gravel, but nobody really making contact with anybody else at this stage. A little bit of a grassy moment though for Lopez, though, heading in towards Druids has meant that he must have locked the brake, because I don't think there was any contact between himself and Alan Day. He slithered off and ran a little bit wide and has now dropped down into 9th position in the early stages of this one. This is going to have to be a bit of a recovery drive from him. So Alan Day leads the race at this stage. The double former NASCAR Whelen Euro Series champion Alan Day, who has won heats, but that was quite some time ago now when we saw Alan Day win a heat. That was back at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit for round 1 of the championship. Giorgio Maggi sits there in 6th position. He's got Gustav Bregen sitting, Berggren, I should say, sitting ahead. Let's just have a quick look at Pablo Lopez. Yeah, just too late on the brakes, snatched the wheel, went through the gravel trap up there at Druids Corner, and by the time he got the car pointing back in the direction of where it needed to be heading, downhill towards Graham Hill Bend, everybody had just gone through. So it was, too late on the brakes on cold tyres or cold brakes. Gustav Berggren, Swedish driver, sitting there in 5th position, ahead of Giorgio Maggi, Lorenzo Marcucci, Scott Jeffs, then Pablo Lopez looking to try and work his way back through the order. Has he got the inside line on the Brack Chevy? No. The Ford still sits behind in the hands of the Spaniard, but he's going to have another good little nibble here on the brakes up towards Druids Corner, where he made that mistake on the lap prior. And he's through this time ahead of Scott Jeffs and just gives him a little bit of a nudge to push him wide coming out of the corner. Giorgio Maggi is the next target, who almost ran wide as well that time at Druids Corner. So Pablo Lopez now for Circuit Ricardo Tormo. Fordzilla gaining a further place, and now looking to see what he can do. Great fight going on for 3rd, 4th and 5th place. Maren Kramers flighting away with Vladimiros Tjoitsis. 2 of them absolutely together. Tjoitsis had his best run of the season, I think, was it last time out at Indianapolis, where he featured highly. Maren Kramers, though, just having run wide there, and now that's going to put Tjoitsis up into 3rd place, Berggren up into 4th, Marcucci and Giorgio Maggi and Lopez all go through as well. So Maren Kramers now down into 8th position, and in fact yeah, still in 8th place. I thought Scott Jeffs had gone through, but no, that is Pablo Lopez's blue car. Scott Jeffs is the blue car that's behind it. So down the straight, in towards the braking area for Clark Curve they'll go. Marlon Kramer's looking to try and make sure he doesn't lose any further places. So down into 8th position from what was 3rd. The last of the drivers in the automatic qualification spots at this stage is Sebastian Bleekemolen at the wheel of the Team Bleekemolen number 69 Ford. Driver with multiple championship wins in the Clio Championships out in Europe and in the Benelux countries as well, but raced with us in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series in 2019. He was 16th in what is nowadays known as EuroNASCAR Pro. Lorenzo Marcucci we're looking at. Great aerial shot of Lorenzo Marcucci's car heading down the Cooper Straight up towards the left-hander at Surtees that then brings them onto the Grand Prix loop. But he's coming under enormous pressure here, Marcucci, from Giorgio Maggi, who needs to attack and defend at the same time because he's got Pablo GoPro Lopez sitting right behind him. So a good fight is this. Down the Derek Minter Straight up towards Westfield Bend. So another corner that's very easy to run wide coming out of that corner, then downhill and up towards the daunting left-hander. Let's just have a quick look what happened here. Sven van Laere heading up towards Paddock Hill Bend and just managed to overtake a car on the way into the corner, but then loses it on the way out, unfortunately, Sven van Laere. So driver who raced with us just at the Zolder finals last year, but has been a regular in this esports series. The 46-year-old has left himself a chunk of work to do again now. So Giorgio Maggi back over the start-finish line, onto the brakes, in towards the right-hander at Paddock Hill Bend, looking to try and hold back the aspirations of Pablo Lopez. Been in the background for Maran Kramers, I think that was, that had a spin just at the background of Paddock Hill Bend, so that's going to drop him ever further away, and he needs to recover and make sure he hangs on to a place inside the top 10. But 5th, 6th and 7th all together at this stage, with 4th place even, the light green car of Lorenzo Marcucci not that far ahead. Marcucci, Berggren, Maggi, Lopez as we go on board with the Swiss driver, runner-up in EuroNASCAR 2 2019. Speed builds onto the brakes in towards Hawthorne Bend. Now Maggi gets a little bit sideways. That's the opportunity that Pablo Lopez has been looking for, and yet without any effort at all he's able to put the Fordzilla Ford through and gains the place over Giorgio Maggi, who just carried too much speed in towards Hawthorne. The car washed out on the exit all over the curbs and slithered its way briefly onto the grass, but well controlled by Giorgio Maggi. But as soon as the door was open, the opportunity was taken for Pablo Lopez, who is now putting Gustav Berggren under pressure and has the inside line coming up towards Clark Curve. So another place gained for the Spaniard, 2 more places on that lap for the Ford. And we've now got just 4 minutes of the race to go. So over the start finish line comes Pablo Lopez. Remember, the top 10 automatically go through. Maran Kramers, who had a spin at Paddock Hill Bend on the previous lap in the background of the shot, still hung on to 10th place because such was the gap between himself and the next of the cars that sat behind, which was Yevgeny Sokolovsky, that Sokolovsky couldn't catch up. But we have now got only a couple of laps to go in reality. Alan Day has really started to gap those behind. He now leads by 3.2 seconds from Andreas Jochumsen. Gustav Berggren in the meantime has lost a place there as Giorgio Maggi was able to gain the advantage. So Maggi losing a place on the previous lap, gaining one back now. But this is a good little fight that's going on for 6th and 7th place. There's a good fight going on for 4th and 5th as well as the progress of Pablo Lopez continues. Has he got the run on Lorenzo Marcucci? He has. Another place gain there for Lopez. We just saw him go through and take 4th place from the light green car of Lorenzo Marcucci. Giorgio Maggi in 5th. Gustav Berggren completing the next of the places, but back to our race leader, Alon Day, who is looking as though he is on for a win in heat number 3 here. He won his heat at Daytona on the road course. He won his heat here at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit earlier on in the season, and this would be his 3rd heat win. Andreas Jochumsen sitting there in 2nd position at this stage, and just needing to make sure that he doesn't overdrive the car there. Just almost dipped a wheel into the dirt there, did Jochumsen, who lies 10th in the championship standings. His best result in the main championship race has been a 5th so far, and that was at Watkins Glen. Vladimir Tjoitsis is on for a good result in 3rd place. That would see him in something like the 3rd row of the grid, wouldn't it? But he is getting caught by Pablo Lopez. Vladimir Tjoitsis' last lap he did was a 1 minute 29.4, half a second quicker was Pablo Lopez. And Lopez is at this stage about 2.5 seconds behind, so the rate of closure is not sufficient at this stage for Lopez to catch, let alone get past Vladimir Tjoitsis. But of course, Brands Hatch, as we're hearing from all of the drivers, very difficult circuit. You make a small mistake and it can have fairly large consequences. Not much runoff, you could soon be into the barriers, and that's just by putting maybe half a wheel on the grass if you're not careful. Using all of the curbs there, grabbing the apex and a bit more, Pablo Lopez, representing Circuit Ricardo Tormo, who, as we heard earlier on in the broadcast from Gonzalo Gobert, who is the managing director of Circuit Ricardo Tormo, they were scheduled originally to be the opening round of the 2020 season. They will now have the honour of having the final championship round as and when we get running for real in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and that will bring us all the way through to the early part of December, the final championship round. So Pablo Lopez looking to uphold the honour of Circuit Ricardo Tormo and the Fordzilla Ford. At the moment, 4th place as a result of having led the race early on, but just snatched that break on cold brakes or cold tyres heading up towards Paddock Hill Bends, and a good recovery drive. Dropped him down into something like 8th position, so he's now back into 4th. He was nearly 3/4 of a second quicker than Vladimir Tjoitsis last time through, so the gap is coming down, but it's not coming down quickly enough because there's only 15 seconds to go, and that is not sufficient for any further laps after the one that they are on. Here comes Giorgio Maggi looking to try and grab 5th place from Lorenzo Marcucci, the light green car sitting ahead. Lorenzo Marcucci, can he hang on to it, the Italian? He's got the very quick and rapid Swiss driver behind him, but then Giorgio Maggi makes a mistake all through the gravel. That is going to drop him down through the order as Gustav Berggren then takes 6th place. Maggi drops to 7th. Scott Jeffs here is in 8th position. So just the 1 place lost for Giorgio Maggi. But Alan Day is on for a win here by the look of things. Over the start-finish line, it's a win for Alan Day in heat number 3 here at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit. Round 5 of the 2020 EuroNASCAR Esports Series. And Andreas Jochumsen will finish in 2nd place. Vladimir Tjoitsis finishes in 3rd position. Good drive that from the Cypriot driver. Pablo Lopez is in 4th place. 5th should go the way of Lorenzo Marcucci. It does. You can just see his light green car going through the gravel at the first corner, but he'd already taken the checkered flag. And then Gustavo Berggren finishes in 6th place. Giorgio Maggi in 7th. Scott Jeffs in 8th. Vittorio Garelli and Malin Kramers in 9th and 10th places respectively. Any other drivers thereafter again will all have to fight it out in the last chance qualification race that will be coming up very, very shortly. So Alan Day is going to quit back out of the game and will hopefully very shortly join us in live commentary. But before he does that, we should be able to confirm the results of heat number 3 for you very shortly. Remember, we haven't awarded a single championship point as yet this evening in the EuroNASCAR Esports Series, in conjunction with iRacing and with support from i.can.com and the Sim Racing League. But we've got one more 10-minute last chance qualification race to come up, and only then in the main championship race will we be awarding any championship points, double points, remember, this evening as well. Alan Day claims the win for PK Carsport. Andreas Jochumsen is in 2nd ahead of Vladimir Tjoitsis, who's there in 3rd place. Pablo Lopez was 4th. Lorenzo Marcucci, Gustav Berggren, Giorgio Maggi, Scott Jeffs, Vittorio Garelli and Malin Kramers complete the top 10. So those automatically qualify